Hey, everybody. It's Rick. You know, given the current climate, I've been doing some serious soul searching and thinking about how we format the enemies list, how we present the enemies list. And I realize there are so many damn enemies right now. We need to be more focused on the bad actors. We need to be calling them out. We need to be directly talking about who they are and what they're doing. So with that in mind, I am going to change the format of the enemies list a bit. And moving forward each week, I'm going to highlight some son of a bitch who has just absolutely deserved the full vitriol of the American people. Somebody who is destroying our country. Somebody who is breaking our institutions. Somebody who is harming American citizens. Somebody who is engaged in the most grotesque abuses of power. Now, I know you're thinking, oh my God, we don't listen to a show about Donald Trump every week. But look, he's got plenty of minions. And there are plenty of people out there who deserve to be focused on and highlighted and exposed and frankly shamed. So the show's going to go forward. We'll still have interviews with smart people because, we like smart people. And we'll still be talking to folks who are on the front edge of this fight for democracy here and around the world. But I think you'll like the format we're going to push forward. It will be a lot more focused on some of the people that you need to know about. Some of the people that would escape the mainstream media's attention right now. Some of the people who would be normalized by the mainstream media because they're a good source inside the White House or what have you. All the vitriol, all the justified anger, all of the careful examination of who and what they are is going to come your way. We really thought hard about this, and I know you're going to enjoy this new format. We're talking a lot this week about the unforgivable security breach that Mike Waltz, the National Security Advisor, and Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Drunkenness, engaged in, along with a whole bunch of other people, including Little Marco and J.D. Vance and the whole panoply of idiots who run Trump's national security operation. They have been busted. They have been whacked upside the head with reality. They know they've perjured themselves before the Senate. They know they broke the law doing this. And they're all caught in a trap. But the person who isn't in that loop, who wasn't on those signal chains, who's really, really displaying how you can have a sort of Rosetta Stone to unlock understanding everything the Trump administration does, is Karoline Leavitt. Why is Karoline Leavitt so egregious? Well, first off, she's an arrogant 27-year-old. And when I was 27 years old, of course, I was working in government and I knew everything about everything. But I also worked for people who, if I had done things that were illegal or if I lied to the press, would have fired me instantaneously. Like that minute. We used to fire people for being rude in the Bush administration. I kid you not. A guy got a DUI one time. They didn't care. He was just gone the next day. Bye, see you. Take care of your life. But Karoline Leavitt is now the spiritual heir of a very, very stupid, dark, and un-American way of governing this country. Donald Trump was influenced very strongly early in his life by a guy named Roy Cohn. Now, most of you are not old enough to remember Roy Cohn. He, during the McCarthy hearings, was the counsel to the Un-American Affairs Committee. Roy was, in every conceivable axis, a horrifying, corrupt, amoral individual in every conceivable axis, okay? And actually, he set back the fight against communism. That's a longer story. But Roy Cohn was one of Donald Trump's early influences. Go watch the movie The Apprentice, Gabriel Sherman's movie The Apprentice, which is brilliant in showing you who Roy Cohn is. Now, Roy Cohn taught Donald Trump a political lesson early. Lie all the time. Never, ever apologize. Never apologize. Never admit guilt. Never admit defeat. Always attack the people who have called you out for your lie. Now, Roy Cohn, again, was a big influence on Donald Trump. And Roy died in the 80s of HIV.
He was also one of the, the famous Republican pink mafia that never say they're gay, hate the gays, but are gay. Who knew? But Roger Stone, that degenerate fop, that man who every single person who looks at him says, my God, what kind of phrenological disaster happened to the front of your skull? Took those lessons from Roy Cohn. He was a sort of bad Xerox copy of a bad Xerox copy of Roy Cohn. He was Roy Cohn without the charm and the efficiency, and continued to beat that into Trump. Never, ever, ever admit defeat. Never admit a lie. Never admit a mistake. Always attack the people who call you out for what you're doing. You can see this pattern over and over and over and over again, from his campaigns to the White House today. So what did you see yesterday with Karoline Leavitt? You saw her go out and open her cake flap over and over again to attack who? Jeffrey Goldberg. To attack The Atlantic, to attack journalists.
Mainstream media continues to be focused on a sensationalized story from the failing Atlantic magazine that is falling apart by the hour.
Why is she doing that? Because the White House now knows they're in the shit. They are in trouble. They know they are. They're lucky they have a pet attorney general who will be obediently looking away. She's much more interested in persecuting and prosecuting people who say mean things about Tesla online than about the most significant national security breach in recent memory. But Karoline Leavitt went out there yesterday and just lied and lied and lied and lied and lied.
We have said all along that no classified material was sent on this messaging thread. There were no locations, no sources or methods revealed, and there were certainly no war plans discussed.
And she's facile. She has her little style. And it's a style that has been brewed up in the sort of MAGA laboratory of mendacity in the last few years. They follow this sort of online rule book, and these rules are inviolate. You must never, ever admit you were wrong. You must never, ever, ever admit that you lied. You must always attack anyone who has the temerity to criticize you or to say, by the way, did you do X? Look, she's come up through a political media culture, that came from the Trump campaign in 20, which was a lot more sloppy and shambolic than the 24 campaign was. But, she was in Stefanik's orbit, who is a person who's reinvented herself 157 times, from that sort of Fox News guest thing where the incentive structure is to lie and to throw culture war red meat to the boobs out there watching so that they can get a hate boner. None of this is the kind of traditional approach from a press secretary who is a professional and who understands that interacting with the news media matters. And Carolyn, I do want to counsel you on one thing. I'm sure you have not read the Constitution. I'm sure you've read the Donald Trump version, which is the Orange God rules all. That is it. That's all the amendments. But there was a reason the founders identified exactly one field of enterprise, of human enterprise, to outline for protection. And it wasn't farmers, and it wasn't craftsmen, it wasn't carpenters, it wasn't sailors, it wasn't lawyers. The one area that the Constitution protects by name is the press. So yesterday, what did you see her doing? Attacking reporters like, how dare you ask me a follow-up question? No.
Caitlin, I'm not taking your follow-up.
I have a follow-up on something you just said, though, Caroline. That's
Caitlin,
regarding
I'm not
Jeffrey
taking
Goldberg.
your follow-up. Philip, go ahead. I've called
Thank you.
you.
She is right now the star of the Trump ball. She's right now the belle of the Trump ball. But I will tell you something, folks. In Washington, D.C., I've seen a lot of press secretaries. I've seen a lot of media relations people. I've been one. I've seen a lot of people who either understand that you owe not just a duty to your boss to protect his reputation, but you also owe a duty to the truth and to the American people. Now, I don't expect that from Karoline Leavitt. I expect very little from Karoline Leavitt. In fact, she is a perfect apotheosis of the MAGA culture now with younger people. It's ugly. It's snippy. It's shallow. I mean, I want you to understand, she's not a stupid person, but she lives in a culture that will only allow her to operate in a narrow frame. That culture will only allow her to operate in a narrow window. And being on the enemies list for operating in a narrow cultural window is, on one hand, you think that's kind of silly. But the window she's operating in is one that continues to degrade and devalue the truth. It is one that continues to go well beyond spin and putting the best face on something and getting your facts out there and articulating an argument. Her argument is not, wow, we did the right thing at all points. This was perfect. And we did a great job. Her argument is instead, Jeffrey Goldberg is evil.
Do you trust Jeffrey Goldberg, who is a registered Democrat and an anti-Trump sensationalist reporter?
The reporters are, this is all the media's fault. And this idea that a 27-year-old gets to determine what is and isn't classified from the podium in the White House is risible. It's hilarious. It's laughable. You know, the other irony here is that for all Karoline Leavitt's bloviating and screeching from the podium and shrieking at reporters yesterday, the thing I find fascinating is that these are the same exact people in his administration right now who lost their fucking minds every minute of the day over Hillary Clinton having a private email server, who lost their minds, who demanded hundreds of hours, which there were, of congressional testimony and hearings about Hillary Clinton's email server. They're the same people who made movies and screeched endlessly about the fact that we tragically lost 4 Americans, contractors in Benghazi. And yet doesn't mention from the podium yesterday that 4 American soldiers were killed in Lithuania under mysterious circumstances. Apparently that's not really something that matters to them.
Have you been briefed about the soldiers in Lithuania who are missing?
No, I haven't.
Apparently that's below the level of some culture war item that they would love to put out and shove in your face every day. But you look at the totality of what she's done in the last 2 months, and it's getting worse. It's accelerating. And I get it, Carolyn. You are an ambitious person. I get it. You found the vector into Trump. You found the act he likes to see, the sort of fake media orgasm of, I'm going to beat up reporters for you today, sir. And you're doing it. You're going to do it all the time. You're going to do it until you make a mistake. You're going to do it until they keep things from you. And that will happen. You watch. That will happen. They will keep something from you, and they will walk you out there one day, and you will say, no way did we do X, because X would be illegal and wrong. And you're going to find out from a reporter or in a day or in a week or in a month, they did do X. And they hung you out to dry. They put you out there, as they say, like a staked goat. So the tiger will come out and eat you first. It will happen, Carolyn. They don't love you. They don't really care about you. You are a utility player right now. But if I was going to counsel you on one thing to stay off the enemies list, it would be that you should go to your bosses and tell them just once in a while, maybe we should act toward the American people like we respect them. Maybe we should act toward the people that are covering this White House like we respect them. Because that might go a long way in easing the tensions that Americans in this country legitimately believe exist, that we are at the cusp of totalitarianism and authoritarianism. Maybe. She will never do that, by the way. She'll watch this, she'll laugh about it, she'll share it with her friends and go, ha, that old man doesn't know anything. Girlfriend, I have forgotten more about this shit than you will ever know. I have lived longer in this world than 99.99% of all political operators ever do. By this point in most people's political lives, they have gone back to their law firms, or they have gone back to their PR agencies, or they have gone back and raised goats in Montana. You are on the enemies list because you are an offensive liar. You are on the enemies list because you are disrespectful to the American people. You are on the enemies list because you don't care or believe in a free and inquisitive press. I will tell you, you're not stupid, Carolyn. You're not stupid. I can tell you're not stupid. You're evil, but you're not stupid. You might want to work on one of those.